All right, everyone. I think that by now a lot of you have been talking about this for the past couple months. Ever since the last scene of The Dark Knight Rises, everybody's been going online and been talking about what should happen with The Dark Knight Rises and the continuation of the Christopher Nolan story. What should happen to the character of Batman? And to be honest, I have a lot of ideas on what might happen. And one of them, I think, is Christopher Nolan won't be doing another Batman movie for sure. I think he's done with the series. I think he's done with the whole experimenting with superhero realism. I think he wants to do other things, and that's a great thing for him. He needs to diversify his career. He doesn't need to do superhero movies all the time. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean his brother Jonathan Nolan won't be done with the Batman series. I think that if DC is going to continue on with Nolan's universe and bring in Robin John Blake as the next Batman or Nightwing or Robin himself, I think that they'll bring Jonathan Nolan back on the team for writing. I think that, to make him more, feel realistic and more into that whole franchise in the realistic superhero movies that Christopher Nolan has made, I think that they want at least one of the Nolans to stay on as like a supervisor or a writer, or maybe, even if they give him a chance, maybe directing. Who knows? But many things are not going to happen if they continue on with the series. Now, one thing I will be interested in is Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway going to return if they're going to make a trilogy or another movie in the series, in the Nolan universe. As you know, by the ending of the movie, Alfred, or Michael Caine's character of Alfred, sees Batman and pretty much Bruce Wayne, and Selina Kyle at the Florence Cafe, and pretty much he's healthy and he's starting a life with Selina. I think I never said this before in the other videos that I did about the Batman movies, is that I think it was a perfect idea for him to end continue on his normal life with Selina Kyle. Pretty much they're both the same type of people. They're vigilantes. They're people who do their work at night, and they are so compatible, The thing I hated about Rachel Dawes is that she was so hypocritical. She wanted Bruce Wayne to save the city and do something for the city, but yet she doesn't want to spend life with him. I kind of understand why, but at the same time, I really hated her character, and I think that Selina Kyle was beautifully played by Anne Hathaway and is the perfect match for a Bruce Wayne after Batman life. If they are going to appear in a Robin movie, I think that either they're going to have a baby by the time, or maybe Bruce Wayne comes back to Gotham secretly to help Robin in some sort of way, train him, or maybe become his kind of Ra's al Ghul mentor. Well, not really become a Ra's al Ghul, but become a mentor for Robin John Blake. And maybe, Selina Kyle will mentor him in some way, sort of form as well, She knows some sorts of things, with the whole fingerprints kind of, how she, defaces fingerprints and how she kind of does her burglary stuff and all that. She has some skills that she can teach as well. I think it'll be hard in a way because, they're such big characters, and then when you go to the Robin movie, how are you going to make them so that it doesn't feel like a cameo, but they are important in the story? It'll be difficult, but I think they'll find a way if they do it. Now, I know for certain that Commissioner Gordon and Lucius Fox are going to be still in the story because, for instance, Robin John Blake still needs some weapons to be supplied, and by all means, Lucius is the weapon supplier. He's the guy who's owning Wayne Enterprises. But I think there's one question that I don't think anyone has asked after the movie ended. Is Wayne Enterprises closed, or is it still open? Because what I remember is that, yes, he talks to the scientists at the ending, asks how he could have fixed the autopilot, and how they say that, Bruce Wayne fixed the autopilot. And, in the hearing where they're releasing all the stuff from Bruce Wayne's will, they say they're paying off some of his debts with some of the estate that he had. So does that mean that Wayne Enterprises is still alive, or is it being closed down, or I never really got that answer. I think that's a dumb question, but I don't remember them saying anything about Wayne Enterprises. They just show the basement scene, or maybe they're just like, I don't know. Maybe this scene happened before. I'm sorry, but I'm if Wayne Enterprises is still okay, they're paid off all the debts and they're back to business. I think that Robin John Blake has to go to Lucius in some sort of way and say, Bruce Wayne is mentoring me. I'm the next hero of Gotham. Give me weapons. And Lucius is going to be a big part of the Robin series. And if I remember, I think Morgan Freeman in an interview with Tonight, The Daily Show, or not The Daily Show, I think it was Tonight, some late night show, he said that he is having a good feeling that they are doing a Robin movie. So if they are, Lucius is back. So that's a known factor. Also, Gordon has to be back as well. Commissioner Gordon obviously has worked alongside Robin John Blake in The Dark Knight Rises, and it's not like he's not going to know who this new hero is. I think that Robin John Blake will tell Gordon who he is, first off. And I think that in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, Bruce Wayne and Gordon never really interacted as, person to person. He only interacted with Gordon as Batman. And even in the interactions, you kind of feel like Gordon and him have this kind of camaraderie, and they're okay with each other, but they're not really close. I think in the Robin trilogy, if they are going to make a trilogy, I think that, he's going to be more closer to Gordon, he's going to be more interactive with Gordon, and since he's not very comfortable with all these weapons, I think that he'll use his police tactics and kind of use Gordon's police squad in a more positive way. And, when Bruce Wayne was Batman, he kind of brought a lot of the problems to himself. He kind of, fought everything by himself. Usually he didn't want to, use police force that much. If you notice that. He was very, he was a one-man army, pretty much. He was not really relying on anyone else. He used Gordon as an ally, and he used Gordon's resources, and Gordon used Batman's resources to help Gotham be saved. So, so if they are going to do a Robin trilogy, I'll be very intrigued. A lot of people have said that they want Rian Johnson, the guy who's directing Looper and who directed Brick, to be the director of this movie. I think that he would be a good choice, and Jonathan Nolan will be a good choice as well. I also think that maybe out of the blue, maybe like a random director. I don't know who would want to be interested in doing a Robin movie, because, Batman is a character that's so huge, and the fact that two of the movies in the Nolan trilogy became billion dollar films by themselves. The thing about the Batman movies and, Avengers is that Avengers had so much superheroes to kind of push it over the top and give it so much money at the box office. Plus, the 3D plays into a factor as well. But by themselves, by those superheroes that were in Avengers, if all their movies, single-handedly did not even go close to $1 billion. And the fact that Batman by himself has got $2 billion movies under his belt, it kind of shows you how much of a powerful figure and how much of a known image that Batman is around the world. And if you want to do a Robin movie, I think it'll be difficult for people to kind of adjust to the fact that, Robin is, this big character. Everyone thinks of him as a sidekick. But I think this is a perfect opportunity as well to kind of show that, Robin could support a movie by himself. And that, his story is interesting, or as interesting as Bruce Wayne's in the trilogy. So, that's my thoughts about a Robin trilogy or a Robin, spin-off. But if they're not going to do a Robin spin-off and they are going to do another Batman movie, how should they do that? And I know that they have a tentative date for a release of 2015. And, some people said that Robin John Blake might be the next Batman. I don't think it will happen because, as you remember, the bat signal is fixed and Gordon sees that on the top of the rooftop. And they make a huge-ass statue for him in, I think it's the City Hall or somewhere in Gotham. And if Robin is gonna portray Batman again, I don't think he wants to tarnish the image. You know, the image is that Batman is this legendary symbol. He is the protector of Gotham. And if a new guy comes and he fails in his first few attempts to kind of save the day, it will kind of tarnish the whole symbolism of Batman itself. So I highly doubt he will become Batman. You know, he does go to the Batcave, but remember, all the resources that Bruce Wayne had were in that Batcave. You know, that big computer that he has that shows all the record files, and, you know, the workshop that he had is still in that Batcave. So remember that. And also the Tumbler and all those, you know, vehicles. I think that if Warner Brothers is going to decide on doing a Batman reboot, please do not do an origin movie. I think that number one is that we've already seen the origin of Bruce Wayne and Batman. You know, Batman Begins was the perfect origin story for any kind of superhero. We see why he does it. We see how he does it. We see the trials and tribulations that he goes through, the physical toll that it takes on him, the kind of mental, the more, you know, how it affects him, pretty much psychologically, physically, everything is affecting him in that movie itself. And if you want to do a reboot and kind of show that same story again, it's not going to be interesting, you know. I think that's the big difference between this series and, you know, the Spider-Man series. For instance, The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 1 are two highly different movies if you think about it. Amazing Spider-Man, we see Spider-Man in high school, we see how he becomes Spider-Man, but we actually see the past of how his parents were. In Spider-Man 1, we don't really see that much of his past. We kind of see, you know, we start off from the present day, we're kind of like showing, okay, this is Peter Parker, this is how he is, he likes Mary Jane, and he becomes Spider-Man, you know, blah, yada, yada, yada. But in Amazing Spider-Man, we see that, you know, there are things that we don't know about him yet, because his parents kept a lot of secrets. So it kind of plays off with the origin story, but making it its own. I don't think the Batman series can do that, because Batman Begins showed a lot of his past, present, and upcoming future. And, you know, if they're going to reboot the whole series, I think that the perfect reboot would be making a Batman and Robin movie. Many people disagree with me, but I think that this is the perfect way to kind of redeem themselves and, you know, push that tarnished image of the 1997 movie Batman and Robin and push it to a side and say that, okay, if we're going to reboot this, let's make the sidekick there from the start and show how their, you know, relationship starts off, you know, not liking each other in the beginning, you know, saying that they want to work alone, and then maybe by the end of the movie they kind of like become good partners, and how they interact with other people in the franchise if they're going to make a Batman and Robin franchise. And I think that, you know, in the comic books, they weren't really compatible. Some of the comic books, they're very distant from each other. You know, Batman's very abusive to Robin. He kind of thinks of him as like a piece of shit sometimes. And I think that, you know, using the realism of Christopher Nolan's series and then bringing it into a Batman and Robin movie, but, you know, having characters like Mr. Freeze or Penguin coming in, it will be an interesting mix. I really think it will take some time, though. I think that if they want to do a Batman and Robin movie with a mixture of some fantasy and realism, take some time, don't release it yet. You know, people are still going to love the Batman series, and, you know, we have the Superman series coming up now with the Man of Steel and how Christopher Nolan's associated with that, so we're going to be okay with that. And take some time with the Batman series. We don't need another Batman movie so far. We can wait another 4 or 5 years. We're able to wait. It's not like we can't wait. Also, I think that if they are going to reboot it, I think they should think about some other things other than just Batman. Who can play the character? Who would be a good Batman? I think that's the main thing. You can have the perfect script. You can have Christopher Nolan coming back, you know, writing a new type of script, saying that, okay, this is going to be the new reboot. I'm just going to write it, you know, give you guys an idea of what I think should be a good movie. But that doesn't mean that it could be a good movie without great actors. The great thing about the Batman series that Christopher Nolan directed is that he picked the perfect actors for the roles. Michael Caine was an awesome Alfred. Christian Bale was an awesome Bruce Wayne. and Lucius Fox, awesomely played by Morgan Freeman. Gary Oldman looked and acted like a Commissioner Gordon. That's the main thing. You have to cast your roles very well. I think that, this is going to be a tough task because who in like the younger actors or the upcoming actors of today could be perceived as the next kind of like Bruce Wayne type of actor who can portray that kind of like role in a perfect way? I don't really see anyone right now who can actually take up the role. I think that, in the beginning I thought of like maybe Ryan Gosling as playing Batman, but I think that it wouldn't work in a way. Theoretically, you can put these kinds of actors into the role, but then when you see it visually on screen, it's going to be a whole different movie. And that's the main thing. Who do you think could be the next Batman? I think that after they answered that question, that's when they can write the story around them and kind of say, okay, we got this type of actor, we know his strengths, let's make this type of movie. Because if you make a highly realistic movie again and put a really bad actor in the role, it's going to screw up the whole flow of the movie because you need an actor who's indulged into the role. The thing about Christian Bale is that he was indulged into Batman. He was Bruce Wayne and Batman at the same time. When he was Bruce Wayne, he was the suave kind of over-the-top playboy kind of person. He played that role pretty well. And then when he becomes Batman, as Batman, he's like this growling, his voice is very unrecognizable. He's very angry. He's using all the strength that he has to kind of, intimidate the criminals that he's trying to chase down. He played the roles the way that they should have been played. If you get an actor who's going to play the roles the exact same way, or maybe play Bruce Wayne and Batman the same way, not changing their voice or anything, or not changing their kind of posture or kind of stance, then you're not going to have a good Batman movie, in my opinion. But then again, a lot of people are going to be interested with the Batman series, with it being a financial success. Obviously, Warner Brothers is wanting to do another Batman movie, but if they're going to do one, do it fast and start thinking about it right now. That's my opinion. And one last thought. If Warner Bros. Is really serious about doing a Justice League movie, and they're really serious in tying in, Man of Steel with the new Batman series, I think go ahead, do it. Even if it is going to be with the Nolan franchise. And, here's a good idea. Making a Nolan trilogy for Robin, and then also at the same time making a Batman trilogy that will be mixed in with the Justice League. I think that they could double their costs, they could double their profits. It'll be a win-win situation. People will love to see the very well-written, well-paced story of the Robin series, and then you can also see, the extravagant, how it's going to build in with the Justice League series with that Batman series, which can tie in with Superman. And plus, who knows? Maybe you can add in Superman into one of those movies or bring Batman into a Superman movie and make a crossover movie. There are a lot of ideas out there. A lot of people have a lot of ideas. I think that this is one of the most interesting questions that I have for you guys today. And comment on the section below. Tell me what you think. Who could be a good Batman? What kind of Batman movie do you want to see after, The Dark Knight Rises? What movie could possibly follow up? And who should direct the movie? And what time, what year do you want to see this movie happening? Do you want to see it the next year? Do you want to see one in the process right now? Or do you want to see it take some time and kind of flower into something bigger? There's a lot of questions that a lot of us want to ask, and I'm a huge Batman movie fan, and I can't wait until The Dark Knight Rises comes out on Blu-ray. I'm going to be one of the first people to order that. I'm going to reserve it as soon as you can reserve it. I love the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but then again, every ending has a new beginning, And if they're going to do a Robin movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the lead, I'll be really happy. I'll be really enjoyed about that news. But if they want to do a new Batman trilogy, starting afresh, starting with a new kind of idea, I'm open to that as well. There's nothing bad in starting new. As long as you do it right, then we're all okay. So there you go, guys. Those are the questions I asked for you guys. And then Also remember to like, subscribe, and add my channel. And I'll see you next time, guys. Take care.